All right, so we're taking a deep dive today into Entar real estate and investment technologies. You've sent over a pretty hefty stack of intel here, internal documents, marketing materials, even a news article that kind of hints at some pretty big ambitions. And honestly, after looking through it all, I can see why you're so intrigued. They're aiming to be like this one-stop shop for all things real estate, but with a pretty mind-blowing tech twist too.
Yeah, it really is fascinating. You've got this blend of traditional real estate with like bleeding edge technology. It seems like they're not just content with buying and selling properties, they're developing tech that could completely reshape how we even interact with real estate as a whole.
Okay, so let's unpack that a bit. What exactly is it that Entar does? Because, I mean, they're clearly not your typical real estate agency.
Right, they're definitely going way beyond that. So they do offer the full range of brokerage services, from helping you find that perfect dream home to navigating like super complex commercial deals. But on top of that, they're also building this investment platform. And they're developing their own proprietary technology too. It's like they're aiming to create this vertically integrated ecosystem for anything and everything real estate.
And they're not just dipping their toes in the tech pool here, right? I mean, they're shooting for $1 trillion valuation. That's not just ambitious, that's, I don't even know what the word is.
It's definitely bold.
Yeah.
Audacious, even. But these sources we have do provide some clues about how they plan to get there. For instance, one document highlights their year-over-year growth, 106%.
Whoa, okay.
Now, whether that's sustainable, that's a whole other question we'll need to explore. But it definitely indicates like a seriously aggressive, maybe even exponential growth strategy.
Yeah, 106% growth. That's definitely eye-catching. I'm also a little skeptical, I gotta say. Is that just fueled by their tech? Are they exploiting some market gap that nobody else has noticed? Or is there something else entirely going on? What's your take based on what you've seen in these documents?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And from what I can tell, it looks like a combination of factors. They've definitely tapped into that growing demand for real estate services that are, tech-enabled. Their online platform really streamlines the buying and selling process, and they're attracting some serious top-tier agents with their unique ownership model. But the big question mark is scalability. Can they keep up this momentum as they try to expand nationwide, or are they going to hit some roadblocks along the way?
Okay, so we've got this blend of traditional brokerage with a strong online presence and this unusual agent incentive program. But then there's this whole Entar coin thing. They're launching their own cryptocurrency. What's the strategy there? And how does it actually work?
So the Entar coin, it's designed to be more than just your typical speculative asset. The idea is for it to function as a utility token within their ecosystem. So you could potentially use it to pay for real estate services, or make fractional investments in properties, or even earn rewards for, say, referrals.
So it's like their own internal currency almost.
Yeah.
Like a loyalty program, but on a massive scale. But how does it actually tie into their investment platform? You mentioned fractional real estate. Could you break that down a little bit more?
Sure. So think of it this way. Entar Coin is trying to make real estate investing accessible to, everyone. Traditionally, you needed significant capital to invest in property. But with fractional ownership, which they're facilitating through Entar Coin, you could potentially own a tiny piece of, a skyscraper or a shopping mall, even with a relatively small investment.
Interesting. So they're really trying to lower that barrier to entry.
Yeah.
But doesn't that also introduce more risk, especially given how volatile cryptocurrencies can be?
That's a valid point, and it's definitely something to consider. The value of Entar Coin is tied to the underlying assets, which include those fractional real estate holdings. So while it has the potential for higher returns, it's also, subject to market fluctuations.
All right, so we've got this really ambitious company with a very tech-driven approach, aiming for massive growth and really trying to disrupt the traditional real estate model. But there's one more thing that really stood out to me. Their commitment to open source technology, which seems a little counterintuitive for a company that's also building, proprietary software.
Yeah, it's definitely an unconventional strategy, but their thinking is that by embracing open source, they can attract top developers, speed up innovation, and build a more robust and transparent platform.
Okay, I get that.
Okay.
But how do they plan to actually make money if they're just giving away their tech? Where's the revenue stream in that?
That's the challenge they'll need to figure out for sure. One possibility is they could offer premium features or services that are, built on top of that open source foundation, or they might focus on generating revenue through transaction fees within their ecosystem. But yeah, finding a sustainable business model will be absolutely crucial to their long-term success.
It's like they're trying to walk this tightrope between openness and profitability. And this whole open philosophy seems to extend beyond just their technology, too.
Mhm.
They're putting a lot of emphasis on ownership, not just for agents and employees, but for customers as well,
Hmm.
which is pretty unusual in the real estate world, isn't it?
Very unusual. And it raises a lot of interesting questions. Will it actually lead to stronger loyalty and engagement? How will it affect their corporate governance? And will it attract a different type of customer, someone who's more invested in Entar's long-term vision?
So it's a bold move,
Hmm.
but it also creates a lot of complexity. I'm really curious to see how this all plays out. But let's get down to brass tacks here. What does Entar actually offer in terms of concrete services?
They really aim to be a one-stop shop. We have this document here, Entar Advanced Real Estate, that lists a surprisingly wide range of services. Everything from, the traditional buying and selling to auctions, iBuyer offers, land leases, even probate sales.
So they're not just focusing on one specific niche. They're trying to cover the entire spectrum of real estate needs. That's that's ambitious, to say the least. But what makes them stand out from the crowd? What makes their approach unique?
That's where the tech really comes into play. The stock offering benefits document we have goes into a lot of detail about their technology stack. And it's impressive. They're not just using AI for things like property recommendations, which a lot of companies are doing now, but they're also exploring blockchain for secure transactions. They're even dabbling in virtual real estate and NFTs. And get this, they're even talking about using quantum computing for things like risk assessment and property valuation.
Quantum computing. Seriously. That's not just next level. That's like science fiction. Are they just trying to dazzle investors with buzzwords, or is there actual substance behind those claims?
It's hard to say for sure at this point. Quantum computing is still in its very early stages, and using it in real estate is, well, largely theoretical. But Entar seems determined to be at the forefront of this technological revolution, whether it turns out to be a game changer or not.
So they're definitely swinging for the fences. But before we get carried away with all the possibilities, let's come back down to earth for a second. We have an investment agreement here showing an individual investing $2,000 for a 1% stake in Entar, which seems incredibly accessible for early-stage investment. But it also implies a pretty hefty valuation. Are they overvalued? Or is this a legitimate opportunity with the potential for massive returns?
That's the question every investor has to grapple with. Early stage investments are inherently risky, especially with a company that's aiming to, disrupt an entire industry. But the potential rewards are also much, much higher if they succeed.
Okay, so we've got this company with a bold vision, a very tech-focused approach, and a very low barrier to entry for investors. But there's still so much to unpack here. How do they actually plan to reach that trillion-dollar valuation?
Well, that's what we'll dig into next time. We'll take a closer look at their specific strategies and see if their plan, holds up to scrutiny. All right, so let's dig a little deeper into how Entar is actually planning to reach that ambitious trillion-dollar valuation. One thing that really jumps out from these documents is their focus on rapid expansion. They're not just talking about opening a few more offices, they're aiming for like a nationwide network of agents and physical locations.
Yeah, that makes sense if they want to be the Amazon of real estate, like they keep saying.
Yeah.
But how do they plan to attract and retain, top talent, especially when they're competing with these established players that already have that national reach?
Yeah, they're really banking on their unique ownership model to set them apart. So instead of the traditional commission-based structure, Entar's offering their agents actual equity in the company. It's a pretty bold move,
Yeah.
essentially turning their agents into like mini entrepreneurs who are directly invested in Entar's success.
Yeah, so instead of just getting a cut of the deal, agents could potentially benefit from, the company's overall growth too. That's a powerful incentive for sure. But it also adds another layer of complexity, doesn't it? I mean, how do they make sure that all these agent owners are actually aligned with the company's vision and strategy?
They're putting a lot of resources into training and support for their agents. They've partnered with like top real estate coaches, and they provide access to proven systems and resources. And they're also really emphasizing collaboration and knowledge sharing within their agent network. The idea is to create this culture of collective success, where everyone benefits from each other's expertise and achievements.
Okay, so it's like they're building this real estate powerhouse
Yeah.
from the ground up, powered by this network of highly motivated, invested agents. But attracting top talent is only half the battle, right? How do they plan to actually bring in the clients, especially in today's, digitally driven world?
They're going all in on building a strong online presence, leveraging things like social media marketing, targeted ad campaigns, and advanced SEO strategies. Their website has this really robust IDX home search function, and they're actively engaging with potential clients through like virtual tours and online consultations. It's clear they understand that today's home buyer pretty much always starts their journey online.
Okay, so they're covering the digital bases for sure. But they're also venturing into some pretty uncharted territory with this whole virtual real estate and NFT thing. Is that just a marketing gimmick to, grab attention? Or do they actually see this as a legitimate growth area?
I think it's a bit of both, honestly. It's definitely a way to generate buzz and position themselves as innovators. But there's also some real potential there. I mean, the metaverse is still in its early stages, but as people spend more and more time in these virtual worlds, the demand for virtual real estate is only going to increase. And Entar is trying to position themselves to capitalize on that trend.
Yeah, it's a risky bet, but it could pay off big time if the metaverse really takes off the way some people are predicting. But all this expansion and innovation, it takes serious capital.
Yeah.
How are they funding this ambitious growth? Are they relying on, traditional venture capital? Or are they exploring other avenues?
Actually, they're pursuing a multi-pronged funding strategy. They've secured investments from existing clients and individual investors who believe in their vision. And they're also planning a public stock offering, which would give, everyday people the chance to invest in Entar and potentially share in their success.
That's an interesting move. It could generate a ton of capital, but it also opens them up to a lot more scrutiny from, regulators and the public markets. Do you think they're really ready for that level of scrutiny, especially with their unconventional approach and their heavy reliance on these emerging technologies?
That's a good question. Going public definitely comes with a lot of responsibility and accountability. They'll need to demonstrate, strong corporate governance, financial transparency, and a clear path to profitability if they want to attract and retain investors. It'll be interesting to see how they handle that transition.
Okay, so they've got the ambition, they seem to have the talent, and they're putting the funding in place.
All right.
But let's go back to their technology for a minute. They're using AI for, fairly standard things like property recommendations, but they're also talking about using like quantum computing for risk assessment and property valuation. Is that even remotely feasible? Or is it just hype to impress investors?
Well, quantum computing is still very much in its experimental phase, and if applications in real estate are largely theoretical at this point. However, the potential is definitely there. Imagine being able to assess the risk of a property investment with like an unprecedented level of accuracy, factoring in variables like climate change, economic trends, even things like social sentiment. That's the kind of power quantum computing could potentially bring to the real estate industry.
It sounds almost too good to be true. But even if they do manage to, crack the code on quantum computing, are they maybe losing sight of the human element of real estate? I mean, buying or selling a home, it's a deeply personal experience, full of emotion and uncertainty. Can algorithms and data really capture that complexity?
That's the challenge Entar is going to have to address if they want to achieve lasting success. They need to strike that balance between technological innovation and human connection. And from what I've seen in these documents, they do seem to understand that. They talk a lot about the importance of personalized service, building trust with clients, and really understanding their unique needs.
Okay, so they're not just about, cold, hard data. They recognize the human element. But let's circle back to their cryptocurrency, Entar coin. We talked about its potential for fractional real estate investment.
Yeah.
But how else does it fit into their overall strategy? How does it benefit their agents and their customers?
Well, they see Entarcoin as the glue that holds their entire ecosystem together. Agents could potentially receive a portion of their commissions in Entarcoin, which would incentivize them to, use the platform for all their transactions. And customers could earn Entarcoin through things like referrals, loyalty programs, or even by contributing to the platform's development. The goal is to create this closed-loop system where Entarcoin is used for everything, from paying for services to investing in properties.
It's a bold vision, for sure.
Yeah.
But it also raises some concerns about regulatory hurdles and, the inherent volatility of cryptocurrencies. How do they plan to address those concerns? External pressures from competitors and regulators. internal challenges of managing growth and maintaining a cohesive culture, and that constant temptation to chase the next big thing instead of staying true to their vision.
Every ambitious venture faces challenges, and Entar is no exception. But their success isn't just about avoiding those pitfalls. It's also about their ability to capitalize on opportunities, to adapt to changing market conditions, and
Yep.
to, constantly innovate. The real estate industry is ripe for disruption. And if Entar can actually execute their vision effectively, they have the potential to become a major player.
So for you, the listener, it really comes down to this. Entar is a fascinating case study in innovation, in disruption. They're pushing boundaries, challenging norms, and aiming for a level of success that, frankly, very few companies ever achieve. But they're also facing a pretty steep uphill battle with a lot of obstacles and potential pitfalls along the way.
Right. Any decision to get involved with Entar, whether as an investor, a customer, or even, a potential employee, should be based on a thorough assessment of everything we've talked about today, a clear understanding of your own risk tolerance, and a belief in their ability to overcome those challenges and achieve their goals.
We've taken this deep dive together. We've gone through all the information you provided, but ultimately the decision is yours. Keep researching, ask those tough questions, and stay informed about Entar's progress.
Yeah, and as always, we encourage you to think critically, to challenge assumptions, and to form your own conclusions. The future of real estate is being shaped right now, and companies like Entar are leading the charge. It's an exciting time to be involved, but it's also a time for careful consideration and informed decision making.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. And until next time, happy exploring.